Morning.
Good morning. We have an exciting morning this morning. Lots of fun stuff. Fun being curious. So, Jo, what happens when I say to you the word anchovies?
Ugh. Yuck. Yuck. Slimy, hairy little creatures. Yuck. Yuck.
So we have this concept in Fast EFT, which is the modality that we use when you join our course, our Empowered Parent course, and it's called the primary principle. And the primary principle is about this concept. I'm going to show it to you right now. So if I say to Jo, how do you know that you don't like anchovies?
It's so funny. Immediately I get pictures in my mind. I'm out with 3 of my friends, so there's 4 of us on a Friday night in Sydney, and we're ordering pizza, and my girlfriend, I'm going halves with her, and she's just like, pizza with anchovies. And I'm like, no, I can't do anchovies. I cannot eat them.
So that is what just showed us Jo's primary imprint, or an imprint is really just a memory, but memories have lots of different things. Memories have feelings, memories have smell, they have taste, they have visuals, they have auditory sounds of the girlfriends talking to her. So, and the more emotional charge normally that is in a memory, the more, you'll go to that primary imprint, which for Jo is that memory in Sydney, and you can see this is where she knows she doesn't like anchovies. But interestingly enough, it's not probably the first time she learnt that she didn't like anchovies. There'll be other memories in there. So I asked her just before, so how do you know before that you didn't like anchovies?
Yeah.
And she just was like, oh, well, what
Such
happened?
a good question, because I know that I've tried them somewhere to not like them, but I can't remember those times. And that time, because there's not a huge emotional response that time. With my friends, it was far more powerful for me and stuck in my mind.
So you might be thinking, well, how does this relate to parenting and why is this important? But parenting and life in general is all about learning how to master your mind. Because if you can master your own mind, and for me as a parent, one of the greatest negative self-talk was like my greatest skill. And learning to master my mind stopped me doing that, and that is why we teach and we show you some of these concepts so that you can start to master your mind too, because even in the world of parenting it's exactly the same thing. So before I go to a parenting example, I want to show maybe another big example. So a guy, his mother died. And so when you would ask him about his mother dying, he would go to his primary imprint, which was her lying on the hospital bed, and he would suddenly feel sad. Now, if you asked him, did he have hundreds of other memories with his mum where he felt happy and they had a really close connection, he would say yes. But he was using the primary imprint of his mum lying on the hospital bed. That's where his mind kept going to. So this is just what we call the primary imprint, because that's where it goes. You ask him about his mum and his mind goes there, and then he's upset. So when you know this, you can start going and you can start learning how to tap and learning how to change your memories, which is kind of the next step, which we also show you how to do in the course. And this so relates to parenting. I told that story because as parents, and I certainly did this, Jo, we both did, we hold all these imprints in there. I'm about to give you an example, but we're exactly the same as the guy with his mother. We've got all these happy times that we spend with our children where we are connected and we're having fun, and it's a really good experience for both of us. And yet, for me, if you'd said to me, Ilka, are you a good mother? My brain could just go and find all the places where I wasn't a good mother. Like that's where it went first. As these days, because I have mastery over my mind, I can go to the places where I have had good times with my children first. And this has taken a lot. This has been massive to master this, right? Because I was so good at going to my negative imprints and negative memories. So an example of
just on that for me. So I've done a lot of work on my family, my own childhood, and in the past, if you asked me about my childhood, I wouldn't have spoken about good memories because they were way too back behind the bad ones. The bad ones came up first, and then I did heaps of work, and then I could remember good stuff. And one day we were chatting, and I talked about when I used to play basketball at school, and we'd have to travel, so the parents would have to take us, and we're talking about that. And Ilka said, "Oh, so how did you get to the games?" And I went, "Oh, my parents took me." Oh, but prior to that, those good memories were way back, hidden deep down.
Yes, and this is what we can do to ourselves day after day if we don't start changing these primary imprints. So an example that I have, if you say the word tantrum to me, and I mean play along here, guys. Have you got something yourself? If I say the word tantrum to you, or perhaps yelling, or
whinging,
whining, the sound of whining. Just notice whether straight away you have like a reaction inside your body. Do you have a sensation that comes up in your body? Do you go straight for a is it straight like, oh, all right, hi Kristen, thank you for joining us. Because if that comes up straight away, then it's highly likely that your primary imprint is still back there controlling your life. So for me, if you say these days, I don't have a lot of emotional charge around this memory, but I've actually been working on it this morning because I realized it's still there. So, but it certainly doesn't have all the guilt. And I mean, if you'd taken me to this memory 7 years ago, before I did a lot of tapping on myself, it's a memory, and Jo has one as well, where our kids lost it in the supermarket and just started having a tantrum. This is my one around tantrums. And I'm just rolling around on the floor, and I did not know what to do. My mother was with me, and we basically kind of even made a joke to the checkout chick. I mean, I'm so, these days I don't beat up on myself anymore. But again, if I'd been telling this story before all my tapping, I would have been horrified. I couldn't even tell you because I was too embarrassed. That I just turned around and basically said, "Oh, she's not my daughter." Made a joke to the checkout chick and just left her there. And we went out to the car and put the groceries in. I mean, we lived in a country town and we knew most people. But it sounds terrible though, doesn't it? So, and we came back in and said, are you ready to, there was no, love and connection. I was really annoyed and I got really angry, and she wasn't getting any of my love in that moment. I was not able to go to her, and I really believe now, with all the work that I've done on myself, if my grandchild did the same thing, or any child really, from this point forward, I would be able to go to them and be with them and handle their big emotions. But because I'd done no work on myself, I couldn't, especially in a public situation, I just couldn't handle their big emotions.
That's it. Hey, like, why bother doing it? Why bother doing the work? Why bother tapping, clearing up the emotion and changing the memory? Why bother?
Yeah.
Because it changes our lives, and then we can come up to similar situations again and behave very, very, very differently.
Yes. So yeah, it's so cool that now I would behave totally differently to that, because I've cleared all the emotional charge. And then this morning I was even thinking, well, I need to just keep tapping until I change the visual on that memory. And now I can see that Ellie and I went to the park and that she's in the trolley, and I'm creating a stronger visual. And we even write down these new memories and practice them, so that that we're rewriting our neural pathways, we're rewriting what's on the cortexes of our brain. All these imprints control our lives until we change them, and particularly until we let go of the emotional charge around them. So
that's interesting, because I have said to people, spoken about what we've done, and the term changing memories really does trigger a number of people I've spoken to, but there's a key point in that, isn't there? We can't change the memory while the emotion, the high emotion, is still attached.
Yeah, and we're not changing history. History, it happened, and we're not changing that, but we are changing what you're doing to yourself inside your mind by keeping these imprints in there, and they are your subconscious, and they control your behavior. So by changing them, it has a profound effect on it looked like an automatic effect on how you will operate the next time. So yeah, it is a big concept for people, because people have this thing that, but my memory, like holding all that, like it's really quite weird how we think about it, but we think if we hold all the fear, or we hold all the guilt, or we hold all the, what are some of the other ones, anger, then really we're just punishing ourselves. But we have this kind of distorted belief that that'll protect us somehow in the future. And this is really not the case, guys. All that happens is you get deeper and deeper into beating yourself up more, saying, like, if I'd kept hold of all of the memories that I had around my children, I would just get deeper and deeper into believing that I'm a terrible mother, even though the positive memories outweighed the negative memories, probably, maybe, I don't know, 80-20, probably 80-20. The times where I really felt terrible was really quite small, but they're controlling my brain. And this is how the brain is set up. It's set up to keep us in survival mode, but you don't have to keep it. As a child, that did help you out in some cases, because it kind of kept you in the family. So there's all of that side to it. But as an adult, most of this stuff is not keeping you safe anymore. You don't need to have all these imprints in there that are controlling your life. Yeah.
So we do, in the work that Ilka does in the course, she goes in far more depth, but just for now, there's heat of the moment tapping, and if you read through that list of words that we've provided, and anything comes up for you, and heat in the body, or seize in the throat, that was a big one for me, or notice any sensations, and you can tap on that like right now.
Yeah. The anchovy sensation.
Let it go.
Yeah, let it go. Now, it doesn't mean that Jo might go back to eating anchovies. She probably would be, if she really tapped on that, she probably would be able to eat them and just go, oh yeah, well, they're just salty little hairy things. And not have all that,
but I make a choice.
Yes.
From a clean, clear space.
Yes.
With no high emotion attached.
Yes, exactly. So this is called the primary principle, and going and finding your primary imprints, and then when you change by tapping on them and releasing the charge around them, and then you can change even how they're visually represented. You can keep coming in. So for example, with that one I was working on this morning, I can go and find a time where I've spent, even recently, with my daughter, who's now 22, and we had a beautiful time at the market the other day, and I can borrow from that really awesome time that we had and take it to the supermarket with me, and I can walk around the supermarket with her and be in such a more connected feeling with her, and loving, and all of those things that I experienced at the market the other day when I was with her. So this is the way that and this is just taking control of your own mind and being the master of it because until I started doing Faster of Tea, my mind controlled me. And I thought I didn't have any control over it. I thought, I would start feeling terrible inside my body because sometimes it's not words. It might be that you just drove past a shop. Your subconscious can notice things. It drove past a supermarket and maybe I don't know, it does weird. I didn't think I had any control in the past. I didn't even know that kind of stuff could happen, that my amygdala could go back and in 0.00075 of a second could trigger things from my past just from seeing a shop sign or from seeing somebody's face or, maybe the checkout chick looks like my kindergarten teacher and my brain's going chung, 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 remember the time she yelled at you or something like that. Because if there's big imprints in there, then they're controlling the show. But the more you work on these primary imprints, and that's why in Faster of Tea, we're taking you back to some of the, this is why we work with a practitioner first, because if there's really big stuff in there that you think, oh, I don't want to look at that and I don't want to face that, then you've got somebody to help you to do that. And I needed that very much in the beginning. Because and some of the things I just thought, oh, I don't know what it is, I don't know what's in there, I hadn't spent a lot of time looking inside my own brain. That was going to be scary.
And for me in the past, when I would get in those spiraling thoughts, I'm like starting to think what's going on? Am I?
Yes.
What's wrong with me?
Yes, because the imprints are telling. If you go to these imprints, something, your girlfriend's probably looking at you, even in that anchovy memory. You could make that mean, oh, there's something wrong with me because I don't like anchovies. Like, this is what we do to ourselves until we take back control. Yeah. So, it's very, very powerful, the work that we do on the calls. And I think every week we just have so much really, really cool stuff happening. We should have a segment, I was thinking that, Jo. It just says, this cool shit happened this week.
Yes, we should.
Because the parents tell us so much cool stuff that is happening in their lives, and they're so amazing and so courageous in the way that they have started. Like this week I heard of one of the mums who's really, she was on a break with her family and she did the donkey. She said, Ilka, I did the donkey, I did the trance breaker.
Oh, you've got to show us.
Yeah. But it was but she said, I didn't do it out loud, but still I was just like, yay, you broke the trance. Like, like,
anything to stop your mind going down the same path. You're breaking that link, that neural pathway.
Because none of this
new information in.
Yeah, none of these imprints that are controlling your life, they're all bullshit, guys. They're all bullshit. You can change them. You can totally change them.
If you want to.
Yes. Yes.
You got to want to.
You got to be willing.
Yeah.
And but the ministry, like Robert calls it, you can have the ministry of anger, or you can keep being a minister of that, administer of that. You could keep being an administer of like bad shit coming out of your mouth and the way you speak to people. But if you start being kind to yourself and you start changing this stuff and you start doing your own inner work, then your administer or your ministry becomes kindness and love, and that to your children as well. This is how it works. So, and that's definitely, that's been our experience, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's all what we bring to you is only based on personal experience.
Yes, but it does work, and everyone, if you're watching this video and you're in the course, please give us a thumbs up. We always forget to say this, but like this video and tell people it's working. I'm doing my tapping. Things are changing, and as I said, 42 years I had to change. 42 years of beating myself up, being mean to myself, saying I was a shit mother.
47 for me. Yeah.
So, like, that it took a while to actually really shift everything, and people go, oh, it's not working. Well, you're really good at it. So we just keep tapping, we keep working on ourselves, and things keep shifting in our lives, and massive cool stuff has happened to me since. Like, you know, it's just amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah.
But mostly the cool thing is that I have taken control of here, and I know how to control it now. And I know everything that it tells me is just about some primary imprint back there, some imprint that I get to change. And it just can't control me anymore. It's very, very, very cool.
It is very cool. So if you have any questions, pop them below. And thanks for watching. And for some of you, this information may seem very, very, very new.
Yeah.
And it is, and it's really, really cool. And
it's very simple and profound, but it will change your life if you start to understand how this works, and that you can take control.
And we don't change it just for us. Like, we change it, it's also our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, because when we stop a cycle, it's not just for us.
And that's exactly what we're doing, is stopping patterns, stopping cycles. All of this stuff just got passed down to us, guys. Like, it's our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents. Like, they all, you know, one grandmother gave the look, and the look got passed down to the next. It's just, these are all imprints.
And they all did the best they could with the knowledge that they had at the time.
Yep.
But with new knowledge, we can change behaviours.
We can, yes.
Yeah. Cool. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.
Yes. Just questions. If you have any questions about this, put them in the link below. Like the video if you've got something out of it, so that other people can see that you've learned something.
Yay. Awesome.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.